Yes, greetings. Ha ha. Back again this Tuesday. Tuesday is Mars Day. So, the assertive energy and all of that. So, Cosmic Root Show. Greetings to my cosmic soul brothers and sisters and those basically all of the resonant crew, And yes, you are in for another show this evening, Cosmic Roots. Yes, it's a brother Siayome, a.k.a. Cosmic Hell Mystic Ab Onkarem. And yes, I did put up something today to deal with the topic I'm going to be touching on. And sometimes I, pre-cook the show, and then sometimes I just let it, flow, roar. So, yes, tonight's show is going to be, I was going to do it on relationship diversity, but then the impact of certain things, I began looking and thinking, you know what? No, I'm going to change the topic to collective thoughts and its influence on you. So this is what it is. And it's going to be an update with, what they call the code name is COVID 19. So that's basically the corona, V business. So that's going on. And there were some updates that I wanted to share because there is I'm getting distracted here, and I'm wondering why. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna do some updates on the breaking news with this coronavirus thing. You see, I didn't really want to go into it and talk about it like to enforce what's already out there, but let me take my hat off here. But there are some things that I feel needs to be revealed, shared with y'all, because it coincides with collective thought influence. And a lot of us don't really necessarily understand how thoughts create your life. Life don't create your thoughts. Thoughts create your life. I put a caption up there earlier today on that. But anyway, before I go in there, I'm going to warm up. But yes, greetings to you all. So, brothers and sisters, you are tuned to Bless Radio 1. You can also tune into it via YouTube live, or you can go on the internet, type in blessradio.co.uk. And you can listen to it live there. I think the TuneIn app, but basically, if you're listening to me and hearing me now, you're already tuned in, so you're cool, But just in case, your thing's playing up and you want another modality or how to tune in to this tonight's show. So, wow, I'm just getting a lot of, what? I'm getting a lot of, okay, thank you very much. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you very much, Esther. Beautiful of you. Yes. And, yeah, man, bless up all the listeners, y'all. I've been doing this show for quite a little while. And, yeah, just bless up those of you who tune in and, this info resonates with you and so forth. And, as the lyrics in the tune goes, why not help each other along the way? It makes things much easier. This help is the spiritual insight we need to raise and expand our consciousness beyond the confines of the psychological, emotional conditioning and, to limited identification with form. But we integrate all of this, though. But the thing is, you've got to have the balance between the non-physical reality and essence of yourself that then is working and operating through your mental or psychological form, emotional form, and physical form. Okay? And this is the, what you the happy marriage, the integration. Okay, the thing is, though, is that the more the consciousness identifies with the mental form, which is the psychological, emotional conditioning, and the physical form, this is when the consciousness becomes constricted, limited, and then then you start to buy into believing that you are this limitation. Now, what I mean about this limitation, you see, your mind, your emotional body, your mental body, emotional body, physical body, this is known as your time body or your time capsule, because it's only temporary. And the word tempus, that is French for time, and you're dealing with time. Okay, so your temple is a time body. Okay, hence the word temporary. Okay, that is dealing with time. It's related and associated with time. So it's very important, especially in this time, that in order to liberate ones from the confines of the limitation, the psychological, emotional conditioning, and limited force identification, is why the inundation of knowledge is outpouring now, in order to for those who are ready, for those who resonate with this information, to expand their consciousness, awareness beyond these confines, and begin to wake up to realizing they are consciousness. Consciousness is becoming more aware of itself. This is what the awakening and the expansion is. So who you are transcends your mind, emotions, and body. However, who we truly is uses this time vehicle for its instrument to express itself. But what's been happening is that, falling into amnesia, and now all we're doing is expressing the programming, okay, the conditioning, the psychological, emotional conditioning that we mistake for ourselves. And this is what keeps the populace in, what you would say, very susceptible to the mind control that's going on out there, yeah? Because, well, it's going on inside of you, but without knowing who you truly essentially is, it's easy for all of this mental consciousness manipulation to manipulate people's trajectory, okay, and their reality and what they actually create. So, yes, so I should be having Galactic Clyde with us a little later. He's going to reveal some of the information that has been exposed in relation to this virus breakout and so forth, and he did predict it, and he's a good astrologer. He deals with things in a, I just like the way he deals with the what you call it, the eclectic information dealing with astrology, and synthesizes it to see different aspects. It expands the system basically you're working with, and you can see more. Okay, so he utilizes it that way, and it complements the way I look at things too. So he should be with us a little later. But what I'm going to do, which, seeming, I'm here in the studio. And what I'm going to do, oh, come on. Yeah, this is what happens when it's live, y'all. I suppose you all can see me. I don't know if my back's too yellow. Maybe I should just turn myself to the camera. Say, y'all cool? Y'all cool? All right, that's good. So, back with you, and yes, I'm gonna play a tune, and I'm just hearing this flowing through me, and I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna play this, and it is the power, but it's not brought forth in the way you think. But I'm gonna bring this tune up. Supernatural. I think it's Benny King, man. That's just running through my mind, and so I think I'm gonna play this before I actually go into the show and start to say some things to do with the collective consciousness here. But yo. So, man, hang on a second. Yeah, so a lot's been going on, as I'm sure you all be feeling it. And yeah, I'm going to go into about the Mercury retrograde that we've been having in Pisces, which is still obviously moving through. And I'm sure those of you sensitive enough felt that. And we have what we got? We have the new moon. We had the new moon in Pisces again. So there's a lot of endings going on here. A lot of endings, a lot of culminations. And, reaching that consolidation point where what you can no longer move forward with is what has to either get resolved or the door closed on it. Because when you're dealing with Pisces, it's like the end and the new beginning. But it's also the spirituality, okay? So the increase and the amplification of the intuitive faculty is growing stronger in those who more attuned to realizing their true selves is pure consciousness. So Pisces represents the totality, which is source, because it is the sign that has all the other signs, or all the other signs come out of Pisces. So Pisces becomes the consolidation of all of the archetypes, like the source, the all in all. Okay? So now, with the Mercury retrograde, it's about reflecting, going more within, you see? And this is really good to really get deeper into your meditations, to tune into source within yourself. So this is a good for who's, for if you're already turning inward and so forth. And to increase your consciousness. And basically, this is about transcendental states now, okay? Because what's kind of, there's a battle with the old state, okay? The more the physical form state, fixation, and that trying to hold on to its old structure. And you have the transcendental state. That is really the energy we're moving into now, which is, if you're not in the experience, even if you're experiencing the personhood, doing its death throes, it's trying to hold on and stay in control and, operate in the old way that represents the old systematic, structure and construct that is now being deconstructed, and the effects are being felt and seen, and so there's a lot going on. All right, so but I'm gonna play this tune for y'all first, and I will be back with you right after Supernatural Thing, Benny King. Oh yeah, that was Supernatural Thing. That was Benny King, y'all. I mean, I love all the older grooves and so forth because the vibration, the frequency, the feeling of them sounds, you see, resonates more with my authenticity. And yeah, I know there's a lot of us who, a lot of you hearing this who resonate with that. So yeah, supernatural, interplanetary, extraordinary. Yeah, love. Yeah, it's the transcendental love. That is the true, it's the creative power and so forth of creation, of existence. But to keep myself on point, I had to write some stuff down, okay? Because I can, I think like I've just had the, yes, we have the special guest arrive. Yes, Brother Galactic. We got Cosmic Galactic Funk in here now. So, actually, I just saw a message here. So, not to make it too much of a free for all, but those of you listen, if there's a particular tune you feel is relevant to, to you on a soul deep core level, and just say, put a request, okay, and so forth. But what I want to do to kind of set the mode to do with the title of the show, the topic of this evening, which is collective thought and its influence on you, on us, right? And as I said, I'm going to be doing an update to do with the corona, the crown and the poison, basically, you know what I mean? And I prefer the crown myself, So we're going to do an update on that, and Clyde's going to have some interesting things to kind of, reveal, okay? Because it's going to fit in with the nature of the topic this evening, because I'm saying collective thoughts, how these collective thoughts influence us, and a lot of people don't understand how this operates. But before I go into it, Clyde is here. So, Clyde, would you like to just say greetings to the soul community, the cosmic soul brothers and sisters?
Yes, greetings. It's another Tuesday, another day to choose.
You see, he's always got these spins, what I mean? But it's good. It's good. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Yes. Well, I'm just going to go into this, and then, we're going to gradually move into it. And, when you feel, Clyde, we're going to, because you got a lot to share. And I think Clyde is in a certain stage in his life where it look like, boy, it's going to be firings. You know what I mean? He's got a lot to bring forward. And it's good because it's about our authenticity. Leo is about the authentic self when we do connect to the inner light to allow that to shine. Know that we all have our unique inner light, and we're not dependent upon, the external spotlight. Is your unique inner light that is generating your own light. And that's what Leo represents when we're dealing with the authenticity of self, you see? And then Aquarius, very interesting because we're both polarities, you know what I mean? Of, two hemispheres of the one thing. So from you be able to shine from your own inner light, then you radiate that to the collective group, which is through demonstration of your unique individuality. That's Aquarius, you see. So anyway, not to digress, slightly did, but let me just share something with you, because it's some stuff I've written down in order to just keep myself on point, because this topic can be very complicated, because a lot of people are very unconscious and unaware of the implications of and even how they're being played, or how they're allowing themselves to become puppets to the puppeteer. Okay, so it is true that in most people thoughts that happen in your mental field, okay, so the thoughts that happen in your mental field, let me just hit it. The thoughts that happen in our mental field, most of them are not even our own thoughts. And after I finish this, I'm going to ask you to come in and tell me what you think on this too. Your view of it. Okay, Clyde? Okay. So thoughts. You see, with most people, a lot of us, we don't understand, when we're thinking about thoughts. So the thoughts that happen in in our mental field, most of them are not even our own thoughts. You say these are my thoughts, but you have them coming to you from the collective. Okay? Now, you got them coming through you through the collective, and especially nowadays we got all of this electronic devices and so forth. So all you do is just turn on these things, and as you look and as you jump onto social media, as you look on your phone, as you're on your computer, all these electronic devices, what happens is that as soon as you turn them on and you look at them, you're taking in collective thoughts. And then you're now thinking whatever it is that you're now taking in. Yeah? Like Facebook. You go on Facebook and you're now taking in collective thought because everybody's putting up their thing, good, bad, or indifferent. And that now you become part of that stream. You start taking it in. And how do you know you're taking it in? Because you can feel inside of yourself certain reactions. Whether you like something or whether you violently, no, I don't like something. But prior to you tuning into that, you weren't in that state. And so you get caught up with the collective thoughts when you're dealing with the social media and you're dealing with these platforms, okay? So you are actually taking in the collective thoughts, and then you're now thinking whatever it is you're taking in, right? And what happens now, you see, people don't realize this. And now what happens is that these thoughts live in you. And what I mean by that, because I'm writing these things, I'm just putting down these pointers and elaborate. Because these thoughts live in you. You can have yourself, you go on social media and you could just tune into something now. You open up actually and it tunes into you. And then that puts you in a place where you've got this constant theme running with you all day or for half of the day. Until, it may dissolve. But those thoughts are thinking you. You're not thinking those thoughts, okay? So this is what's happening, okay? So what happens, so many people don't realize that these thoughts now live in you. Because there's certain thoughts people just persistently, it's like they're possessed by them. And these thoughts then now create what we consider thought forms. Thought forms can also turn into living entities. But the thing is this. You're the one who's given it life because it feeds off of your life force energy, your attention. Okay? So you got thoughts that live in people, okay? And it becomes a constant theme, very attached. And these entities attach onto people. And and as I said, you're getting caught up within the energy field or the mental field of the collective thoughts. Okay? So as soon as anything goes on out there, and I'm going to correlate this to this epidemic that's going on, all right? And I know, and don't want to go into it too much, but I know someone, young woman, who has, I don't even like to use the term die because there's no such thing as the end, but she ended up leaving this plane, this dimension 2 strongs ago over the flu. So I know some, people, and she got injected, yeah, and that's what did it, but yeah. So it's kind of close, close to home, that type of, people being affected by this thing. But so what I'm saying to you is that the collective thought, so for example, you got big collective thought movements, okay? If you get caught upon that, you got collective thought groups, they're moving in one direction. You got another collective thought group, they're moving another direction. And depending on what you're caught up in, where you come into this, what you get possessed with, determines which direction you're going to go into. And the thing is, as I said, these are collective thoughts flowing into you. And people mistake these things as their thought. And maybe you do have something that's residue or that is resonant with some of these frequencies that you may be tuning into. There's the multitude of thoughts. People are just putting out a whole bunch of things. Social media is a platform for everything to be just plopped out there. Even the aftermath of a picture of the aftermath of your food or something. You know what I mean? Which is like, I don't see the point. But anything is going on out there. So it now becomes a thing where you access, when you tap into these social platforms, media platforms, you now become a conduit for these thoughts to flow into you if you don't have enough awareness. You see, awareness, it comes back to awareness now, your consciousness to be able to actually, hey, hang on a minute, stop certain things in their tracks, okay? But many people are thinking they got thoughts and they don't realize these thoughts are thinking them. So these thoughts can pretend to be you, okay? You think they're yours, and they're not. But they are thoughts that have floated into your mind. Most of them are collective thoughts. And so it's almost like carrying something in you that possesses you. And you know, you're in the grip of something which is a thought, okay? Now, if you read social media and all that kind of thing on the internet, then it's full of millions of people who are in the grip of certain thought movements. And they are a collective thought movements, okay? You see, this is how people just catch up in things, yeah? And for example, you have one huge collective thought movement and it goes one way, as I said already, and then you get another huge collective thought movement and that goes another way. And depending on what one you belong to either one, you're going to be moving in those directions. And it's not ultimately, it's nothing, and the thing is, it's ultimately nothing to do with you. It's ultimately nothing to do with you, but you now get caught up in it. You get caught up in it, right? If you allow yourself to be a conduit for all of this. So people say, you know, that they think. Well, I think. But really the thing is that what you're thinking is not even you as such. And more times you don't have any say in the matter. Because it's like we say we think. Well, I'm thinking. But it's like you can say, yeah, I'm beating my heart. But you're not. It's being done for you. Right? You got all of these millions of, hundreds of functions coordinated in the body, operating, okay? You're not doing it. It's being done for you. A lot of things that's taking place in your system is automatic. Because it's automatic. And therefore, this is evidence of this divine, very supreme, huge, powerful intelligence that is coordinating all of these bodily functions, okay, to keep them synchronized in order to keep you in the state of well-being, all right? And you're not doing this. I mean, even breathing, you're going to say that you breathe. We have a certain level of voluntary control over our breath, and then we then the breath is just doing its thing, okay? So, but the thing is that you can't say you're going to hold your breath and then you go suffocate. You can't unless through some other means, okay? But the point being is that the breath is more powerful than you. So therefore the breath is breathing you. All right? So there's a lot of things we think we're doing when it's being done for us by a deeper higher guiding intelligence, okay? Which is streaming through us and guiding everything and directing everything, whether you're conscious of it or not. So with this collective thoughts and how these things influence you, okay, is to understand how the collective mental field, right, of thoughts that you get caught up in with social media and how it influences you. And this is what has happened with the coronavirus and other things. All right. A lot of people have just been influenced. They become a conduit for these collective thoughts and group thoughts to now possess you. And unless you have enough, if there's awareness there, you can kind of observe a thought. Yeah. You got awareness to go, hang on a second. Why am I don't want to think this thought. This thought's not good for me. Now, if there's awareness there, if there's enough awareness, because, you need to expand your awareness. But if there's enough awareness, you can become very conscious of the impact a thought is having on you, how you feel, okay? How that thought is generating a frequency, an emotional state within yourself, okay? And you, with the awareness, you can actually nip it in the bud. You can go, hang on a second. I don't like the way this thought feels. And so therefore, why am I giving it juice? Why am I giving it attention? All right. So then when you have that awareness, those thoughts can just dissolve in you and dissipate. But what happens more time, people are not even aware that thoughts are thinking them, or aware of the impact the thoughts they're having, or the thoughts they're entertaining is having upon them. So when you start thinking along when you think along certain lines that you now become caught up in this collective thoughts, okay, these collective thought fields, you're being taken away and swept away and influenced by you might as well say, I've used the term already, you're possessed. Okay, it possesses you. You're not possessing the thoughts. Okay. Now, thoughts really don't have much power at all unless it's being energized. If you're if you're focusing a lot of attention on it, then that thought now gets life from you, because your consciousness is the life force, the creative life force energy. Yeah. Wherever you focus attention, wherever attention goes, energy flows. That's where that comes from. So if your energy or your attention is flowing towards a thought, and you're not even asking yourself what kind of nature this thought is, or being aware of the impact this thought has on you, yeah, then you're energizing things. You're giving life to things. You're giving mental creations to things that are not healthy for you. You know what I'm saying? And then when you put a big fear, panic of suggestion in people's minds, and then all of a sudden they are now being swept and directed, their behavior is being directed by those influences. Okay, so a lot of people are in fear. A lot of people are caught up in the pandemonium. A lot of people just believe, again, man, just getting caught up in collective mental thought fields, or mind fields, I should say. And hence you got minefield, which is quite minefields is explosive. You got to be careful where you step. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. The mind is exploding, kicking off with a lot of things that people are grabbing up to, but they don't even know they're reacting, and they don't even know what the truth or the reality behind what they are reacting to that they see on social media. So this coronavirus thing is another thing like that. You can see how it's going to be another thing after this. It's going to be another thing that people collectively get all caught up in. And then you got all these mental stories being created. And a lot of the mental stories people entertain are fictitious. It's fictitious. And then, you got people who just want to believe things because somehow I don't know. You get people who just rather believe the most negative things rather than embrace, the other polarity, because I don't know, they're more kind of, maybe that's where they're groomed. They're more kind of like, they lean more to that because of the contents of what they have within themselves. But the point I'm making with all of this, what I'm saying is that a lot of narrative has gone out. People take this up. They get caught up in the collective influence of it all, believing they're thinking their own thoughts when these thoughts are not you. And then last Tuesday, Clyde and I was on here, and was it last Tuesday? Or was it the Tuesday before? I think it was the Tuesday before. And he mentioned that within this Mercury retrograde and with this a lot of what's happening in Pisces at the moment, and there are other planetary aspects that contributes to this too. But he was saying that he was predicting that there's going to be more information come out about this coronavirus, right? And it's going to expose things to make people realize, oh, hang on a minute, there's more to this than, meets the ear, and that it's not what you have been led to believe. It's not what you think. All right? But a lot of people already, the horse has already gone out the barn, okay? So you got a lot of people. Yo, how you doing, Steppers? You're all right. Ain't seen you for ages, blood. Okay. So, and with this, people have gone with the narrative. And what we're going to share with you this evening is going to show you how you shouldn't just be jumping and getting caught up with the narrative. Because what you're allowing to flow into your consciousness, okay, influences you for good or ill. All right? So, on that point, let me bring you in here because, Clyde, Because I got some stuff sent to me as early as today, which was about how the 5G is being used manipulative. This is something to do behind the conditions that has been the conditions that has been used to identify the symptoms, okay, of this illness. Well, they're saying, well, actually, this stuff is being brought on. This is being brought on by other things, okay? But you're using the virus as a smokescreen to say, oh, it's the virus, but it's actually, this is all manipulation, okay? Yeah, of frequencies, energies, which are affecting your body to be able to take in enough oxygen. I mean, you got hemoglobin in the blood, which is what takes up the oxygen in order to oxygenate your blood and oxygenate your body. But if your body ain't able to take in to the oxygen to oxygenate itself, then your lungs, you see, this thing attacks your lungs. Your lungs are not getting oxygenated. But you're thinking, oh, it's to do with this thing they said is flying around. When it's like, well, actually, that's a smoke screen. But you see, people are going to believe, when they're afraid, anything what the media tells them. Clyde.
Yes. Yes, Galactic Clyde.
Galactic Clyde, absolutely.
Yes, don't forget Galactic.
Yeah, don't forget Galactic. I should have made sure that I should say Cosmic Siayome or something, but yours flow a bit better than mine. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, come forward with what has come to your attention over the past strong, and what you'd like to share with what has been revealed, what's come to news to you, come to light for you.
Okay. We have a saying in the Caribbean, and I think it might be a similar saying here in England, or it might be a worldwide saying, so let me just say it. We have a saying that when your neighbor house is on fire, you know that one?
Go on, say the fullness
when
of it.
your neighbor house is on fire, you got to wet yours.
Yeah, well, I never heard it said in that way, but I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you how did they say it in another way?
Well.
See, let's just compare.
Well, it's like when the neighbors, basically, if your neighbor's house is on fire, what you doing running in it? I mean, you should be running out of it while you running in there. You know what I mean? But that's why I said it's a bit different to yours. But I get yours. You know what I mean? Put water on it. You know.
It does not. Well, this could be applied across the board, and especially in the case that we're dealing with something that we don't know exactly what is happening. Really, we don't know exactly what is happening because there's conflicting report as to what's happening, and I can't say I know for certain. Okay, so in the case of where your neighbor house is on fire, you got to wet yours. It can apply to health as well, especially when you're dealing with a certain pandemic, or as they call it, we don't know if it's pandemic or paperдemic or what they,
the pandemonium. It's interesting,
what the whole rhetoric is all about. We don't really actually know, really, to be honest, because it's very conflicting, especially when you're hearing different things and it all don't add up. We always say when things don't add up, you divide and subtract. It's as simple as that. It's a math problem. So we came across the information called Corona en masse. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how true the information is. Corona en masse, you can find it on YouTube. And he talks about a bioweapon. He talks about this whole thing of the coronavirus. The corona is being the scapegoat for a bioweapon or some kind of chemical problem that gets out of hand, or chemical experiment get out of hand. Judging from the astrology in terms of the synchronic code, we know we in our couple strongs ago we talk about the Hong Kong flu.
Yeah.
And we know that we're in the synchronic code of the Hong Kong flu, whatever that is. And based on this information, what they're saying is that this was a bioweapon created to kind of used as a mind control or a deter for the issues that the Chinese are dealing with in Hong Kong. And what they're saying is that actually they've tested out and it's been proven to be very fatal or achieve its objective of mind control, as well as other things that is being kind of like, what they call it, a scaremonger, because it's been so effective and defective in terms of destroying people, life and livelihood. Anyway, the information goes on to say that, the Americans was interested in the whatever the chemical mixture is, and they wanted to use it for some issues they have in South America. And they were trying to avoid it because it was so dangerous that they tried to avoid sharing that information or allowing the American to get their hands on it. This is the information from Corona and Mars. Don't know 100% how, if it's all correct.
Yeah, how legit
I
it all
must say
is.
that, yeah?
Yeah.
But anyway, update on the information that there was an outbreak based on the chemical, and this is what's the issue in China. And because of that, it's been spreading, and they decided to use a quick procure or something that could be easily mask what is happening. And they came up with the formula that they had on the corona outbreak. Well, don't know 100%, even 50% of the matter. Or we know that there's something out there that is creating a problem that is a problem, and it's becoming more of a I wouldn't say worldwide, because the information that coming out that this is only susceptible to the colder climate, even though they're trying to scare the people in the warm climate. Be mindful of this, because so far as we know, there haven't been any case in places like Africa or the Caribbean or the warmer climate to our knowledge. If anybody knows otherwise, then update us.
Yeah.
We have to be mindful that also that there's a lot of fear and scare going on, but there's not a lot of preparation in terms of what people need to be aware of and what they need to do on a natural basis. There's not a lot on a natural basis what people need to do and be aware of. Yes, they tell you need to keep your immune system high or boost, but they're not telling you how you need to do that. Most time you hear they're talking about vaccination or mass vaccination or something of a synthetic or something of an allopathic nature. Nothing much of anything you can do on a natural basis. So something is rotten in the cotton, and it's not just what you're hearing in terms of a corona. We're not even sure how this crown is going down.
Well, it's going down. It's taking people down, though.
Yeah.
I also just a little addition to that. See what you if you've heard anything about the 5G, that where this frequency that they're putting out, where this also comes into play, because this 5G frequency apparently interferes with the energy field of the body, which then makes the body difficult to take in oxygen because of the way the frequencies interact with the energy field. You can neutralize things. This is where you're dealing with a lot of the energetic weapons or the chemical stuff, which is what has been alluded to say is the real thing that's happened here, and the virus is just a smoke screen. But they're saying that the 5G frequency, that this the wave band that it's on actually affects the ions within the body, or something like that. I may be explaining this incorrectly, but what is correct from what I do recall from it is that it makes it difficult for the body to break down and take in oxygen. Okay, so the hemoglobin in the blood is what enables you to take up the oxygen. But if your body isn't able to be fully oxygenized, then there's going to be side effects based upon that that depletion in oxygenation. So you're dealing with the lungs, the respiratory system, and if there's not enough oxygen getting into the lungs, then there's going to be a fault. There's going to be a faltering dealing with operation and harmonious function, and then you get the chain knock-on effect, which they're saying is actually this is what brings on these symptoms, which is very similar to the symptoms they tell you when somebody has this CV thing, you see? So they're relating and correlating this to the 5G technology.
Yeah.
So do you see so basically, I mean, you're correct. It's like we cannot, definitely, emphatically say, yes, we know what's going on here because of the conflicting or the many different branches of reports coming out. But one thing for sure is that this ain't what it appears to be. Something else is going on.
Yes.
And the thing is that it plays a lot and depends a lot on people's beliefs in whatever those narratives that's getting spanned. And the thing is, people don't realize the power of their consciousness. They don't realize that the power is all within them. And the thing is that if somebody writes a narrative for you to take in and start to absorb and own it, and you're not aware that you're the power, where you focus attention, or what you focus an attention to, energy flows and goes towards it. So if you have a narrative spun and you're getting caught up in the collective thoughts and that mental field, and then you become a channel for that by just accessing and the media, social media and so forth, and there's not enough awareness in you to kind of say, hang on a minute, what am I listening to this for? Why do I even want to tune into that info, or to be aware of how does this feel inside of my body? If it don't feel good, why am I staying in tune with it for? But if there's no awareness of that, then you end up becoming a conduit to be the energy giver to actually ideas and narratives, because that's what they are. They're just ideas. You don't know when you see certain things presented in the media. You don't know if it's real. You don't know if it's an act. You don't know if it's just a play out. You don't know. But people take it on like it's real. So if you buy into that, and it's very fear-based, then you're giving your creative juice, you're giving your creative energy to a script writer's show, and now you're being the one producing the movie. You see? And this is what you see happening. It's like there's the script, and then the people are the actors. And they just take on the script, and now they act out or manifest the pandemonia. They manifest the story that others who are generating these narratives want you to act out. What you say, brother?
So it's things that we have to be very critical in analyzing in our analysis of what is happening and what we need to do. So it's important to, as they say, wet your house. In this sense, we're not dealing with fire, but we're dealing with maybe a virus or maybe some chemical. We deal with a certain level of lockdown in the sense of what is happening around. Just next door to the United Kingdom, or right on our border, Italy is under certain levels of lockdown.
Yes.
And actually, they're not 100% sure that they're dealing with the case of the so-called coronavirus, based on their information. They know they're dealing with somebody that come back from the China or the same province that they're saying this virus manifesting from. But they're not 100%, because what they're saying, the incubation period, which they think was 2 weeks, it actually could be 27 or even more days, or more than 2 weeks in terms of what they're saying. So they're not 100% sure what they're dealing with. But what we can be assured of, that we can actually start organizing ourselves and protecting ourselves for those who are living in the UK or those who are living in colder climates. In terms of preparation, we know that from around, foods come from different parts around the world, and with all this care also creates a problem from where things are coming from and who's handling what. So your best bet is get in there early and make some preparation in terms of certain dry foods or whatever you need to do in terms of wetting your house or preparing for whatever.
So no fire coming on your back garden. You understand?
Yes. So it's very important because we can't wait for people to dictate to us and use laws of control where they should be using advising people as to some of the best methods forward. And what you're not going to hear from the people who are looking at the money aspect of this, you're not going to hear they tell you natural ways of defense.
Oh,
you're not going to hear that. And
that's not good. That's not going to be good for business, brother.
It's not going to be good for business. I mean, they'll be working day and night to try to create some kind of synthetic whatever vaccination or whatever they want to do. That's not going to work and never work in history, but they're going to be working around the clock to try to create something as a means of control. What we need to do is be more public as to natural methods of keeping our immune system intact. And this especially goes for the elderly, because if we're dealing with the coronavirus, as they said, the elderly are more susceptible to a coronavirus than the more youthful people. And your immune system is a very important because it's your inner defense.
There you go.
Yeah. So it'd be very good to just advising people, as they says, when your neighbor house is on fire, wet yours.
Wet your one.
And we don't know what the fire. We don't know what exactly the stem of the fire is, but we know there is some issue somewhere, and what it is, everything is just a scaremonger, because some people just having a fever, we're in a cold climate, we're in the season for that. Some people just have a cough or a sneezing, corona.
Yeah.
You know?
And they drop that to kind of to justify giving someone a vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah, injecting them with something they don't even know if it's gonna help cure the thing or not. But you're being experimented upon, man.
And also, people maybe from the Asian country is also, you know, you meet them on the bus, you see them, and all this scare, this whole thing is like, we're not prepared for anything in the sense, because it's like, it's a bit of a fear mode we're being put in. And when you're fearful like that, you're also breaking down your immune system just by the fear alone.
I was about to say, and I feel this is all it's about. It's about, because everything is vibrations.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, let's just go, you know, when we're dealing with creation, the whole of creation is consciousness made visible.
Yeah.
So when you are in a fear, I mean, look, man, they've even done scientific experiments on this whole thing to just confirm what has been known from time memorable, you know, memorable, you know, when we're talking about antiquity, ancient time. The science is even just telling you that, look, man, if your body is in a state of stress, you're weak. You know, things in your body, bacteria in your body that would never even bother you if you were in, you know, high energized state and feeling joyful and happy and feeling healthy and well, you know, radiating well-being. There's bacteria that build up and tear down. You know, these are bacteria in your body naturally there, and these things would never have. You'd never even know they're there. You would never have a problem. But the moment you're under stress, the moment you're under stress, and this is again what these medical people tell you. They know, but they don't make it very public. They're telling you when you're under stress, this is when you're susceptible to what they call in the body opportunists. And when you're in a happy state, when you're feeling calm, not stressed, you're feeling joyful, your energy is higher, your energy is more expansive, you're stronger. These opportunists would never, could never come in to interfere with the integrity of the body. I mean, it's a bit like a psychological state when you see people who fear certain people who they see as strong, you know, and they would never step to that individual. The person's in their, they're strong, they're in their full prime. But if one day that person looked weak, they was kind of not as, they didn't look as strong, they looked vulnerable now, yeah? Now, with the vulnerability being broadcast, this is where you get those opportunists. Usually they're cowards. They would never, face certain people. But as soon as they notice that there is a vulnerability, this is when you get the opportunists put their boot in, stick the boot in, yeah, and run off, kick and run. So it's the same thing where if you're keeping the body in a state that it cannot repair itself because it's too busy trying to defend itself from, foreign bodies and dis-ease, then it's more easier to control the masses. Because when people are in fear, your immune system is just going to shut down. I mean, you see it even with fight and, what do they call it? Fight and flight. If there is a emergency, like, oh my gosh, there is going to be the fear, of being harmed from something external to you, physical harm and so forth. I mean, you see, it's a natural defense mechanism to either run or stand to fight and protect yourself. But when you observe animals in nature, and they have to have their senses very keenly sharp, they will sense danger, and you'll see them just, they could be grazing. As soon as they smell that whatnot in the breeze, they're off. And you see them running, right? Mm-hmm. To get into some, get clear away from the danger. But what you notice when you observe the animals, for example, is that when they do get clear from the danger, then they just relax again. They don't stay in a state of fear. They don't stay in a state of stress, because there's no longer that which initiated, that state to be endured, to come forward. There's no need for it anymore. So then you see the animals just relax and start grazing. Now, it's put itself in more of a... when you are in flight or fright, okay, your body, all the blood moves away from the vital organs to go to the muscles, to go to what you feel you need the strength to fight off your aggressor or protect yourself or protect those you feel, are being threatened. So all the blood moves from the vital organs into the muscles. Now, if you're in a state of fear and not know when to let go of that stress, when there's no threat, what's happening, there's no physical threat, all right? But what's happening is that people are being kept in a psychological state of fear. So it's very imagined. And then it gets, you get it fed. You get it fed with the narratives, the way the news peppers all these things just to touch up the anxiety field that they want to keep people in. Knowing full well that if you are in that fearful energy, then your body, your immune system cannot do its job. Okay? You cannot grow and expand if you're in a fear-based place, because you're in a protective mode, you're contracting. So when you got this narrative on social media and you got the collective thoughts, and the people are getting caught up in these mental energy fields, and they're just allowing themselves to be receptive to these ideas and suggestions, then what ends up happening is that we actually are playing along with with what is being orchestrated here. But it's based on vibrations. It's based on states of consciousness, mental states as well. So if you're in a fear-based, stressful place, you're going to be more easily hit off, knocked out. You take yourself out. What do you say, brother?
Yeah. I note couple of strongs in terms of months, I talk about what people need to be aware of Saturn in Capricorn, which we call a worldwide Saturn return.
Okay, worldwide Saturn return.
And we know that Saturn is going to be moving out next month out of Capricorn, going into Aquarius, which also impinge on public relation.
Okay.
And normally when we have these major, in terms of planets such as Saturn, whose rotation is a 30-year rotation from in terms of from sign to sign, from sign complete sign, meaning from Aquarius to Aquarius is a 30-year rotation, or from Capricorn to Capricorn in terms of coming back into Capricorn. It's full revolution I'm talking about.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a 30-year revolution.
Oh, yeah.
So Saturn 30-year revolution would be in going into Aquarius is also something that we need to observe, because it also means it's impinge and what they call it, community relation.
Right.
And so we also witness the whole prelude to that.
Yeah.
We're looking at the prelude as well.
Okay.
So also we can see, because this is going to happen next month, Saturn entering Aquarius.
Yeah, so it's going to be in March,
So
isn't it?
yeah. So we're looking
March,
at the
the
prelude
12th,
to
I
a
think.
breakdown of community relation.
Look at this.
Because Saturn, wherever he goes, it's a bit of a, okay, the brakes on. The brakes on. And so the brakes is coming on in terms of community relation. And I think we're actually looking at the prelude of that as well.
Okay.
So from an astrology standpoint, we can look at the margins, or we can look at what is going on in the world in connection, and to see how these are playing out in terms of what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're having a bad, entrance of Saturn moving in, getting ready to move into Aquarius, which impinge on community relation, or the breaks and community relation.
And it's going to kind of bring up where it's like, hang on a minute, because Saturn co-rules Aquarius with their Uranus, and that's about taking your authority back, because Saturn in a Capricorn is about, we experience it as, well, this is why they say the polarity. Capricorn's the father and Cancer's the mother, so the father implements its energy through the discipline, the limitation, the responsibility, and so forth. It's like you experience this limitation with the Capricorn like scaffolding around a building, and until like for example, you drive and you don't have your driving license and anything yet, and you drive, but the thing is that you're going to be restricted. Right? Saturn will restrict you until you've showed the maturity and responsibility enough to be able to, then drive the car without harming anybody, without being a detriment on the road. So what I'm saying, just the example of Saturn, what I've understood is that it also appears that the limitator that puts limits on you, but actually it's there to make you grow and mature into yourself, so you're now responsible enough to be able to take on and wield power. You see what I mean? But and then we also can deal with the external authority that Saturn represents, Capricorn establishment. But what I find with Saturn in Aquarius, Aquarius being the individuator, being the when we're dealing without the Aquarius archetype, everybody be stuck in consensus thinking and wouldn't have the impetus to realize that actually this stuff you shouldn't be conforming to, because Aquarius is about waking up to your unique individuality rather than being some clone or some group mind, consensus thinking, having no awareness of yourself, but living within a compound that's telling you what to think, what to believe, what to feel, and there's no individuality. So Aquarius would be what's going to, with Uranus coming and shatter the frame, when you got a construct which is becoming too limiting and is not enabling room for growth and expansion, then this is when Uranus is going to, its transformation have to come in. And fracture the vessel, to expand and grow beyond that limitation. Go ahead, brother.
Well, we could talk about Uranus in connection with Saturn in Aquarius, or moving in or getting ready to move into Aquarius. We also have Uranus, the ruler, squaring its actual position, squaring Aquarius, because Uranus in Taurus is square to
It's square in Aquarius, yes.
So you also going to have what is called a Saturn-Uranus square.
Yes.
In that sense. Actually, we're building towards that.
Yes.
And so it means that there's a hunker down with public relation. Public relation is an issue.
Yes.
Because we know that Aquarius rules museums, libraries, and large institutions. And so we're having this issue now where even public relation is really hampered, because people are like, public places. They don't even want to see each other in public places. And lots of people now gonna go be riding bicycles as opposed to go on bus. A lot of people are losing, alternative routes in terms of public relation. It's a hunker down time, and you can see that as with Saturn is getting ready to move in Aquarius, you got like what they call it, a blockbuster. It is a blockbuster time.
Yeah.
And it's not a blockbuster where you just sit on home and watching your movie.
Watch your
But you're
movies.
actually getting off the block and you kind of like staying out of the crowd.
Yes.
And this is what we're seeing happening. So from an astrology point, we can tell you, where we can say, where we can see the signs. These are big signs of that, and it's very, very, very powerful, because as Saturn is not even in Aquarius yet, but we can see
feel the energy
what
of
they
it.
call it, the shadow.
Yes.
you know, like they said, every great event casts a shadow, and that's what we're seeing. This is the shadow to the great events of community relation breakdown. When you have a breakdown in community relation, it's not good for business, and especially with what's happening, because even with the European Union and the UK, with all of that, there's all community relation, there's financial problems, and this is where people have to be watch also what you're spending, and you have to also think about what you need to do for the long term, as we're going through this kind of square between the Saturn and Uranus. Especially because it's going to Aquarius. But also, we're also having the Jupiter.
Okay.
Jupiter is a planet of expansion, but Jupiter is in its fall right now. And we see that what's happening, especially this impinge on a lot of finance and a lot of big companies and big business and a lot of, the expansion becomes restriction. And we see that especially when, we got floods happening right here in the UK. I think we had a big fire there in Jamaica. I don't know if you heard about it, with the gas station exploded and things like that.
Recently?
Yeah, I think that was.
So much gas station blow up in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Community relation is a very big issue, but also with Jupiter in its fall, it brings that whole issue of expansion in the opposite direction. We're dealing with restriction
and deconstruction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Jupiter also gonna meet Saturn, which is an explosive. Because what? Saturn and Jupiter, when they come together, it's restriction and expansion.
Yeah,
which is explosion.
Look at that. Expansion, contraction, contraction. That's gonna create
explosion.
There you go. You see?
Yeah.
That's really, what you're saying there, because just kind of touch on some things that you just said about public relations and so forth. People not wanting to take the bus, they're going to take alternative routes, and I've been speaking to some people, and you already have people feeling like, look, I don't even want to socialize. I just want to kind of stay where I am. I don't want to kind of, be on the street. I don't want to kind of go to these places anymore. They don't want to socialize. They don't want to, you see, because the thing is that people ain't even feeling that they are even able to relate in the same way that they used to relate with various people before, or various places they would go. You can feel this change going on in themselves very deep because of what's happening in Pisces, all of this energy, and so it's already kind of playing itself out in the mood, the mood of the people, the mood out there. You can feel it. Also, what I would like to interject with what you're saying there now, because you can see the energy building up, but also the issue with, when you're saying public relations, but we're also dealing with relationships.
Yes.
Because we got Mars squaring Venus.
Yes.
So you got Venus in Aries, and you got Mars in Capricorn. So Venus is about, your self-worth and value, how you relate to yourself, and Aries is about identity. Okay? And then you got, when we were saying last Tuesday with Mars in Capricorn is exalted, and it's going to be some overdrive. Overdrive or get drive over.
It's a very strong Mars, yes.
So this square with Mars and Venus, and it's also Mars is square in Libra, because it's, naturally Libra squares Capricorn. Libras.
Yeah.
But, Libra
and
naturally
Aries,
squares Capricorn, and and Cancer, because it's 90 degrees to it, and then you got Libra and Aries as the opposition. So this squaring, I mean, there's a lot of relationships getting to a either transform or be done. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
You got that. You got folks who coming to a point where they realize, look, you got to deal with boundaries. You know what I mean? The same old ways they were going on before. It's not going to cut the mustard. It's not going to make the take. So there is a need for people to change, to come out of their from behind their wall, if you can say, you know what I mean, in order which is limiting themselves, so they can actually expand and grow into more of something more beneficial. But it's how you're dealing with relationships.
Yeah. And
these relationships can't go on the way they were before.
Yeah, it's not a strong square in the sense of exact square because of where the degrees are. But what we're coming to, we're moving into what they call a quincunx.
Yes.
Because as it's moving into Taurus.
All right.
Is it moving into Taurus? Venus moving to Taurus, that would be more of a trine, really.
Yeah, well, Venus would make a trine with the Capricorn.
It'd be more of a
trine. Yeah.
Yes.
But at the moment we have this.
So what brothers need to, or those who have the strong male drive or Martian drive, is really just learn to control that energy, build it up. Yes, it's built up within you, but learn to channel it.
Yes.
To channel it for growth,
yes,
for empowerment, and not to really restrict your female or the feminine energy, but allow them to have their space in that sense, because of the energy of the square. Try not to get in any argument. If you want to talk about building or future growth or development, that Mars or structure or protection, that's the type of Mars you got. It's very empowerment. You want to think about empowerment, not control.
Yes. And you see, that's the theme, because the old gods, the old regime, which is going under deconstruction right now, that was all based upon control, okay? Control and manipulation. As you see, the old regime is still using the same old tactics, trying to get the same results, but things are changing. So you rightly said, it's like this has to be creative and constructive channeling of your energy. You can't be dealing with this trying to control people outside of yourself. The only one you can control is you, and that's your vibration, how you choose to respond to whatever presents itself. Or you could react, which is not as good as responding, because it's a bit of a knee-jerk if you're going to be emotionally reacting. But it's definitely about being constructive and using and channeling this energy in a creative way, because it is about creative energy. So, if you got issues, I think even with women who's got issues with the masculine, or the men who's got, issues with finding that balance into their feeling, opening their heart, and they're getting too stressed out, and that energy builds up, and they don't know how to constructively, creatively channel it, things could pop off. It's not going to be pleasant. So you need to understand it's about channeling this energy in a creative, self-empowering way, and not trying to get caught up trying to operate in the old way of your ego personality, wanting to control things. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Another strong signal that stands out is the deacon. The deacon of Saturn in Capricorn.
Okay.
Because Saturn in Capricorn at the third deacon, or at the last deacon.
Right.
That's very, very, very important as we're looking at the last deacon of Saturn in Capricorn.
So that's Saturn.
So the last deacon,
that's going to be. Is the last deacon Virgo?
Yes, it is.
Analyzing star.
Yeah, and health.
Okay.
So it's the last deacon of Saturn is also in Virgo. It's also about health and work.
Yes.
And this is what the corona, or so-called coronavirus, all of that is affecting work and health.
Yes.
Especially for a lot of people who are in the epicenter of this.
Yeah.
Work, health.
You look what you just said in the epicenter. The thing with China, the ones who there's a big thing about. It was their own health workers. It was the health workers who were a whole heap of them were sick, and they were trying to cover up what has really happened to the health workers. So it's interesting what you just said. It
And
correlates,
yes,
isn't it? You
and
know?
it's correlate, and it's so strong that we're dealing with this now under this, because we're not looking. We're looking at Saturn, last decan Saturn, which is Virgo, deals with work and health analysis. But also we're dealing with also the ruler of Virgo, which is Mercury, in the opposite sign
And in retrograde. Listen, man, you could make this stuff up if you tried, man. This is cosmic orchestration, man.
Yeah.
This is cosmic orchestration. I just want to read something quickly because I'll just get some messages, and I think it's good. Like the listeners here, Esther, what we have here, they trying to do everything now because the awakening is time. It's time up for the ones who rule our world. Some already running, being exposed now. Only matter of time. MPs, Royal, Rothschild, some will sacrifice. There you go. A lot of this is also showing you the signs of those who been holding power and so forth. They're shaky. You know what I mean? Things they don't. Things is the cracks are showing, and making itself more evident. I was just Sister Maxine here was saying, the coronavirus is in Italy, because we was mentioning this earlier, and he was saying it's in Italy, and basically they've locked down under the quarantine, as you was mentioning, because they don't know how long this thing's going to incubate. Yeah. How long you'll incubate? Well, you said that would be the issue, isn't it? Because they don't know. Incubation period, yes.
Yeah, they're uncertain whether this person, they're still debating if this person have the corona. But you know what it is if you have just the basic flu, everything is corona now. Some people just come home. And that's what you got to watch, because people are on the train, bus, and they don't know what's what. They don't know who got what. But if you have a sneeze, you got corona. So you got to don't get caught up in the hype. Don't believe the hype with a lot of it, because you're going to have a lot more hype than really what is happening. And so you also have to watch that as well. But be mindful that we also we're dealing with Saturn last decan, which is the Virgo, which is health and work, and the ruler being in opposition. So these things, you can look at it from the astrology standpoint and see why we're dealing with some of these in connection with this with the virus and the whole scare, because Saturn in Capricorn does impinge on society in terms of what is called a worldwide Saturn return. I've been saying it from Saturn going to Capricorn is not the best place for Saturn, even though it's home. It's also representing Saturn in its first house, where Saturn is in its fall,
and it doesn't like being judged.
It
likes to be the one to judge you, but don't judge me, man. Because now it's come back home, innit?
So
we were saying something like that.
So what we see that also, it brings a lot of challenge to the health workers, because you're dealing with health issues, and so it means that in some way along the line we have to look at how we're dealing with health from a lot of different ways, because corona is not anything new in the sense. What is new we don't know with this coronavirus, because we're hearing conflicting report, and we don't know for certain what's what, whether it's the bioweapon that is created or it's a radiation thing. We're not 100% sure, because we're here conflicting report, and those people who are up there in the echelon are looking at how they can cream this or cram it or make whatever they can from it, or control the narrative of what goes out and what comes in terms of how the world
perceives this whole thing and reacts to the script that's planned and staged for you all to be the actors, extras in it.
But be mindful, as we said, when your neighbor house is on fire, you wet yours.
I like that one. It's different to the one I've heard, but I mean, each island have their own thing. But I like that one, because you know what, the fire for spread and catch yours, so you wet it up.
And in this case, your neighbor could be in China, or your neighbor is in Italy, or right here in what's it called, upstate, what they call that place that they had a case in London, the UK, what is called, just up the road, just outside Luton. What's the name?
Oh my gosh, man!
What's it called? What's the place?
It's not coming to me.
I forget the name of the place up there. But anyway, we also have cases in the UK, It's not, we haven't built up to a lockdown, but we have to be careful because they would be more preparing to lock down than to educate you. And that's what you got to be mindful. They'll be more preparing to lock you down under this than to educate you under this. So you have to take the time out, do your research, know what you need to build your immune system, just in case, or just for the sake of it. You always need to have your immune system intact. Nothing wrong with that.
You know what to come to my mind with this as well. I feel, you see, we are being, if you listen carefully, you will hear, natural mystic blowing through the air, yeah? And tuning into your intuition. What I feel as well is what
Milton Keys, that's the place.
Milton Keys, okay.
Milton Keys,
all right. So, yeah, what I feel, again, what heavenly communication is telling you is that, firstly, with the retrograde, when you look at the characters in the dance here, right? You're looking at Saturn in the last decan, Virgo's dealing with health and work. You got the opposite. You got its ruler, Mercury, in the opposite sign to it, which is Pisces. You're dealing with health. You're dealing with work, Virgo, but you're dealing with the retrograde of the ruling planet, moving in the sign of Pisces, retrograding, and we're dealing with health here, and then we're also dealing with spirituality when we're dealing with Pisces. And it's like when you're dealing with the past now, when you're dealing with the South Node and Saturn, is dealing with the external authority, what they're telling you about health, and you're listening to them and following them, and whatever them tell you to do, more time people follow who they think is the authority in whatever they think they need to know, okay? But what I feel is happening here, when you look at the nature of the energies, is saying you need to come back home. You need to have more trust in yourself. You need to deal with healing yourself, not leaving that to be somebody else's responsibility external to you, especially the establishment. You go to the establishment, you don't know if you're being a guinea pig or actually being assisted, okay, to better yourself. So it's where people losing a lot of trust in the establishment, all the cracks showing itself, people trying to jump out the boat, mutiny on the Bounty and all of that, and throw other folk under the bus. And then you get this smoke screen still, trying to be, putting spray paint over people's eyes so they can't see clear what's going on. And then with this fear, you see what the fear does? It makes you doubt yourself. You're going to kind of, out of fear, you're going to be led to whatever, the pandemonium leads you to. But all of it to me is indicating that we need to go back into ourselves. We need to deal with taking our health in our own hands and trusting, because look, even the natural things that people used to be able to just get, now, the establishment make these things illegal. So you can't empower your own self. If you don't go through them as the mediator, then they're telling you that you shouldn't be doing that, and you could be fined and all of that for dealing with certain natural, remedies. So I feel what's happening, why I say that with Saturn entering into Aquarius as well, it's about taking back your own authority, because more times the conditioning of the establishment has conditioned many to fear external authority, okay, and therefore give their power away through transference to those who just take that power and use it and abuse you. Yeah, make decisions that affect your life, which they themselves don't live to. And now it's like people are seeing through this, and it's about tapping into your own inner power, your own inner authority, your voice of authority. You have to access your own inner voice of authority, because your voice, what you're saying to yourself, the commands you give yourself, these are very potent things if you think in the right way, because as a man thinketh, they say, so shall he become. And your life thoughts don't create your life. What did I do? I wrote this quote today, and on this quote that I wrote, it says it actually. What it says, I just want to do it verbatim. Your life doesn't create. Yeah, your life doesn't create your thoughts. Your thoughts create your life.
Okay.
So therefore, it's showing you that you're the life, and you're giving energy, creative energy, to those thoughts to manifest what your life is going to outpicture based upon the quality of your thoughts. So we can either be blessing ourselves or we could be cursing ourselves based upon the quality of your thoughts. And what I see going on here is that you need to take back your health, mental health. You're going to see that with the Virgo as well. Yeah, mental health, your emotional health, physical health, psychological health is the mental health, and you see
spiritual health.
Spiritual health. Thank you very much. And this
that
is
overrides everything.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. And this is what I feel the theme is saying. Get in touch with this.
Okay.
You need to get in touch with your spirituality.
All
right.
Let me jump in here. Galactic, jump in. Let's talk about the fear, because how do we deal with the fear? The first thing, I don't care which one of the fear, because you can spell it different ways.
You understand?
Because fear is also a ticket. Fear is also a ticket that you take to go on the train. But you don't get your fear unless you prepare. You understand? So even if you're going somewhere, you make your preparation before you get your fear, because it's the preparation make you get your fear. So if you're dealing with fear, which is the negative emotion of fear, you need to prepare yourself. So if you prepare, you don't need that fear. You override the fear.
There you go.
By just being prepared.
Because you prepare.
So watch yourself. So what are the things that we can prepare? How we can prepare ourselves to override the fear? By knowledge, understanding what is happening.
Yeah.
Like some people are in the Caribbean and they're worried about Corona, and it's like, well, as far as the information, the narrative is that it doesn't even affect you in the warm country. So what are you worrying about? And pressure not reach you yet and you're worrying. That means you're at pressure and it don't come yet. So it's about understanding. Prepare yourself. One of the things that is being said, if your immune system is boost or in good condition, you don't got to worry about the corona in that sense, because it's a weak immune system. It's override. So if there's such a thing as corona, then a weak immune system is what it would bombard or override. So you got to look at things that you can do to keep your immune system at a very strong or heightened aspect. And that's where spirituality comes in. That's where certain food product comes in terms of, forget about the chicklins and the trivial food. That's just snack that is really not going to be healthy and boost your immune system. And look at things that could boost your immune system, such as, colloidal silver is a very good, thing to have in your medicine cabinet in that sense. Certain herbs that are very strong, such as bitter herb. They got something called what they call the bitter cola, which is very good. Not gota cola, but bitter cola.
Yeah. Oh gosh, them use it to do divination. The cola.
Yeah, not cola nut, but bitter cola. You got the cola nut and you got the bitter cola.
Right.
Cola nut is also very good as well, because it's very good for the heart and very good for the system in that sense. Actually, it's help you to, especially when people have the downer. Cola nut was used for actually make people work very hard. A lot of taxi people, especially the continental African taxi drivers, they use the cola nut because it keeps them awake and they can work longer hours, instead of getting drowsy behind the wheel. So cola nut is also very good as well. Your bitter herbs, such as your rice bitter, there's a herb called rice bitter, your cerces, these are things that can, you don't want to overdo your bitters, because one of the things, it can also bring you down. So you got to be very careful about certain things. You got to build your system. If you have a weak immune system, like some women have issues with the iron level especially when the cycle come around, you want to time your cycle and start boosting your iron before that happens. Because if you're just weak on the train, the first thing somebody gonna think, you got Ebola, they don't even want to attend to you or even help you off the train. So you want to keep yourself as boost as possible, because you don't know who you're coming around. And especially when you have a skier in Italy, Italy is a place where people can just drive out. People can just cross the border very easy, even if they have an incubation period that not even been registered. So you don't know what you come against, but you're not going to be, I don't want you to be fearful, I want you to be prepared. If you prepare, then it's also minimize what you need to do about the fear.
Because fear not going to take you nowhere.
It's the preparation is what's going to help you to get where you need to go. So prepare by boosting your immune system. There's a herb called.
And take your
The
notes,
cat-
folk.
Yeah.
Take your notes.
Yeah.
Write these down. Go ahead, bro.
There's a herb called the cancer bush. Cancer bush is very good. I've got somebody that I actually my contact that I said, listen, I need loads of that, because it's very good. It's one of the herb that was very good for the flu pandemic that was killing a lot of people back then in I think it was the around the 1800 or around those times anyway. But it's all arounder. It's good for cancer. It's good for all kind of different ailments. But it also help your immune system. They call it the African ginseng.
Okay,
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Maccabee used to promote that the cancer bush. Them.
Yeah. It's very, very, very good. I've looked into it, and something that I take even though I don't have no cancer or anything of that nature, because it's African ginseng. It's gonna build and strengthen the body, but it also help you to override any problems. It's good for psychological issues as well. You also got another Jamaican ginseng. Anybody know what Jamaican ginseng is? Jamaican ginseng, they call it dopey gun.
Oh gosh, all right. Yes, I've heard of that, but I didn't know. Yeah.
I remember one time I went to ask a brother for dopey gun. He said, "Where you know this from?"
Yeah, because listen, them thing in Jamaica, anything that make you things stand up strong, that's gonna be there. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
ginseng is another one as
that's
well.
right.
But a lot of the ginseng that we know, we come from China. But I've got ginseng that I buy way before this stuff. So I got my Chinese ginseng way before we have this China scare. Anyway, you also got ginseng that comes from Africa. There's ginseng that grows in Africa. There's been an issue with getting the ginseng from Africa here because they're locking it down. Yeah. So it's very potent, very powerful. But ginseng is overall strengthens the body.
Yes.
And build your immune system strengthens your body over time.
Yeah.
So but this is these are things you can use. It's very good to get your medicine and get have your medicine chest. Even if, also if you have young children as well, because you don't want to also lose work time because they're sick from school. So you also have to build your immune system and build it naturally. I'm not talking taking all the synthetic stuff, but also keep them up from a lot of the artificial stuff. Because you're dealing with a pandemic. You don't know how long this is going to draw out. And as we say, Saturn is not even in Aquarius as yet. But we're also seeing the shadow as Saturn is getting ready to move into Aquarius in terms of the whole thing of the so-called, or what we said, the community, because people are staying out the large crowd.
Yeah, man.
The large crowd.
There you go.
Large crowd is a blockbuster coming. It's a blockbuster, and so this whole corona is a big blockbuster. People don't want to get caught in any crowd, not even a crowd of 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
people don't even want to be with their own.
They don't even want to be with
themselves. That is a crowd in itself.
Depends what's going on up there in your head, man. All them thoughts that ain't yours, just having a party in your yard.
People want to be blessed. They don't even want to be too blessed with the crowd. They want to be less from the crowd. It's deep.
Listen, we're gonna have a 5-minute break here. We're gonna play a tune, and we'll be back with you after this.
Some they say
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, man, you know. So that is, yeah, forever loving Jah. But you know what? Let's just upgrade this here thing here, because you're talking about the source within yourself. Yeah? Forever loving the divine essence of you, because
Yes.
this is where all your power come from. Yeah?
Yes.
And what's happening in this day and time is pointing you towards yourself. It said, listen, you better call upon source inside of you. You better trust in yourself. It's like you can't trust in nothing outside there. But look, I just get a message from a listener, and what they just said in Brighton, the doctor's surgery. There was one case in Brighton doctor's surgery where the actual doctor himself, or it, yeah, their self, come down with it, them sick. So you cannot go looking outside here yourself. Yeah, this is what the time I show you. It's showing you that you need to reorientate yourself, bring your consciousness back towards within you, where you are tuned with source directly. Yeah, the source of all life, the source of all power, the source of all health, wealth, prosperity, everything. Okay? Because as I said, consciousness, all of creation is consciousness made visible. So it's where we have to also trust ourselves, trust the self, the divine essence of you, you know? And there's nothing that cannot be cured on contact with the highest spiritual realms, the most high within yourself, you know? So yeah, so forever loving.
Forever and forever loving Jah.
Yeah.
Because what? Jah is the source we're talking about, yes? And so people may say Jah, some people may say Jehovah, some people may say Rasta, some people may say God, some people may say Buddha, some people may say Jesus, some people may say Christus, people may say Yahshua, people may say all kind of different things for their Jah, whoever their Jah is. But be forever loving Jah, because what happened? If Jah didn't create it, you shouldn't consume it.
Ooh.
It's
You hear
so
that?
simple. If Jah didn't create it, if your Jah didn't create it, don't consume it, don't wear it, don't smear it.
You understand?
Stay away from it. Because this is what they try to lock us down with, a lot of falsification, synthetic, all the things that not good for the body. And then when you get a challenge,
your
you have
mind.
no defense.
Yeah, you see.
Because you're breaking down your defense with all this nonsense.
You see? And this is what it is that it is. It's about breaking down your defense so you're more easily manipulated and easily dealt with.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's
So,
about build up it up
Yes.
like a spliff.
a big head, yeah. Yeah.
build it up, man. Build up the system, nourish the body,
And you see the
nourish
system.
the soul,
You're in a
nourish
system.
the mind,
Yes, I.
and that's how you're gonna rise.
And that's interesting because
And
Virgo
override.
deals with nourishment, and this is where you get the word nurse from. You see, nurse comes from the word nourishment, and that correlates with Virgo. So how you nourishing yourself now? We would think about food, all right, physical food. And we all know I say that physical food ain't the only thing that is what we absorb and take in. That impacts us adversely or favorably. So we have to understand that your thoughts, what nourishing is your thoughts and the feelings, is it nourishing or toxic? You understand? What are you taking in based upon what you're entertaining within yourself all day long? You see, when you go to rest and you go just before you go to rest, the thought you take into your slumber is so important. You want to make sure that you're taking into yourself the thoughts that you're entertaining, yeah, are nourishing, strengthening thoughts, nourishing, strengthening feelings and vibes. So when you go to rest, that's what's going into your subconscious. Okay? So when you rise in the new day, you rise with empowerment. You see what I'm saying? And then what you say, what you intend, you program the atmosphere around you from the inside out. You intend what you intend, you program your day. You understand? So you stand in alignment with thoughts which are uplifted, full of love, full of strength, full of power. You see? Don't be getting caught up in this fear-based business and have those things you're going to bed with. Don't even watch none of them movies there or watch any, what you call it, the news and with all of this and that. Do not go to bed with them things though. Do not sleep with those things. You need to select, okay, the nourishing thoughts and feelings that you can medicate yourself, you see, to strengthen your immune system and help yourself.
In sacred geometry, in construction, and in the universe of strength, We know the triangle is the power.
Aye.
And so you have to talk about body, mind, and spirit. Or body, mind, and soul in that sense, because you have to strengthen on the 3 dimension. So you have to think about is what you're taking in. Because it's very important what you're taking in. Is it nourishing to your body?
Absolutely.
Is it going to enrich you, or is it going to just rob you?
You see?
Because a lot of the food we take in is robbing us.
You, man. Teeth.
You know, it leave you in deficit.
You understand?
And then you have to put something now, go sit there to take care of that deficit. So you got to think about that too, because a lot of the foods, a lot of the things that they're creating and tell you is food. You know, the book, Drugs Masquerading as Food.
Yeah.
Very, very deep book.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things people are taking is drugs and not food.
Listen.
Them fast drink. They're so fast that they'll run you down and leave you like a clown.
Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy.
So we got to watch it. We got to get back to...
And you're not going to be the one laughing and smiling at all. You know? It is amazing, really, what's going on. But at the same time, it's you can only be controlled with fear, you know. And fear is the absence of love. I'm not talking no ego love. I'm talking the transcendental love of awareness of your divine essence. That's where the power is. You know, you have people have the power of love or the love of power. Which one is that? You know what I mean? Through the hour. You want the power of love. You understand? And that power of love is the transcendental reality of yourself. You're dealing with the divine essence, the formless divine essence of yourself, you see.
Yeah.
This is the power behind the vehicle. Yeah, your mental form, your emotional form, and your physical form. That's the power. The essence is the power behind it. Without the essence, all the other three forms, they don't have much power. They don't have no power. Yeah, in fact, them get overpowered. Yeah.
Back in the 80s, Peter Tosh came out with an album, I'm a Mystic Man. Very, very powerful album on consciousness and, you know, I'm and Don't. You know that tune.
Oh, come and listen,
you know?
You can find it.
Because I think we need to get back to that understanding, because there's certain things you just don't and do.
I'm and Don't.
You have to know what you don't and what you do in this your time, because the people try to screw us up with all kind of colors that are not blending and not good for your system in terms of drink and food that they pass chemical or some lab mix up that they give you as if it's gone food, but it's not nourishing to the body. And then when you have such a weather storm such as the corona, north wind blowing, you know, just lick you down because you don't have no roots. Your roots not deep enough.
Look at that.
So you have to think about it. I man, don't them pink, blue, green, yellow, and them, you know, them
funny pills, them
Red Bull and all them all kind of things that's not good for the body.
Them funny pills.
Them speed drink that just run you down. We got to get away from that, especially when we're dealing with such thing as a pandemic coming around or whatever happening. If we even mess with you just with the fear alone, it just weakens you down.
Exactly.
So think about strength. Be a mystic man or mystic woman.
You know, seriously, because, you know, as I said in this time, man, it's like, you know, it's about self-love, and it's not this superficial self-love either. I mean, I deal with the divine essence, because it's all indicating that you have to step into your spiritual power. You have to wake up from, as them say, wake up from your slumber. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play this, because you mentioned it, right? Yes. So I'm going to play.
I hear that.
I'm going to play it. All right. So
I'm and don't.
I'm and don't.
I'm a
Go ahead.
Yes, yes, yes. Whoa, that's Mystic Man by Peter Tosh. I know him say, I drink no champagne and I do no heroin and no cracker jacker. You know, so yeah, you know what you're putting in your system.
You got to be a mystic man.
You understand?
And when you say mystic man, you got to eat the stick them. You got to eat the true stick. You got to eat the roots. You got to eat the bark. You got to be mystic. Don't miss the stick.
Yeah,
you got to get into it.
And no make no mistake.
Yes, you got to get into it. You got to get into the real, you know, because what happens? What happens when you eat the roots? You're connected with nature. You have the roots that deal with the archetype of Saturn. Is the teacher. It teach you about the plant. If you want to know about the plant, eat the root. It will teach you about itself. The bark now is the defense. So when you talk about defense now, you got to go into the bark. You know, lay talk into your system. Get into the bark, the marby bark. You know, the cinnamon bark,
the bark of ra.
Yeah, you get into the bark, and then the fruits now is like the Venus energy. The leaf is like the moon energy.
Hey, hold on a second. You see where you just gone on there now and corresponded the planets with the plants. Come forward, people. Take your pad out and your paper and write down and take some notes. Go again, my brother. So we're dealing with the
when we talk about the roots of the plant now.
So now I want to correlate it with the planet.
Teach you about the plant. Yes. If you want to learn, if you want to be an herbalist, take a lot of roots. Eat a lot of different herbal roots.
Look at that.
And the plant itself will teach you about itself.
You hear that?
Because
roots,
through the root is where the knowledge is. That's why the Rasta represents the roots.
Cosmic roots.
Because Rasta deal with Capricorn energy. The roots energy, Saturn energy. Saturn is the dark, brown locks. Saturn is also the ganja, the marijuana is ruled under Saturn.
Yeah, that.
And Saturn also is the bone structure.
Yeah, that's right.
The Grand Reaper.
The Grim Reaper.
Or the Grand Reaper. Because even though they try to bring down Africa, Ethiopia still stand as the bone structure of Africa, as the real structure. And that's how it go. So you got to get into the roots. Because the roots of the plant teach you about the plants.
Reality of one's true self, yeah.
And when you talk about defense, now you get into the bark. Look at the cinnamon, it's just coiled up like a scroll. Because he wants to teach you something.
Yeah.
And to give you a different role to play in your life.
For real, you know.
So get into the bark, the different herbal bark of the tree. Because that's your defense. That's to strengthen your immune system. That's your protection. You want to be protected, get your barks.
You see all them saying, man.
You want to be beautiful, you want to beautify yourself, get into your fruits. You know, those fruits, you know, like the goji berries.
Yes.
You know, different fruits, the passion flower. You know, you start look beautiful. People like, wow, why you look so, you look healthy. And then they eat the fruits, Venus energy.
Check the names. The names are actually giving you the clues.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Tomatoes, all of those are roots. Fruits.
Yeah.
And those are what beautify, make you look like, wow, you're sparkling, man, like a chandelier. You know, and then you get into the leaf now. The leaf that represents the moon energy. You know, it can relax you. So leaves such as you know, the moringa leaf.
All right.
You know, helps you to override some of the emotional issue. Leaves such as you got what they call the weeping willow.
Weeping willow.
You know, you're going through emotional issues. The weeping willow can help you to override grandma willow. And you got the willow bark as well, because that used to be the fenzik of the old time.
All
you know, for headaches and things like that. The willow bark.
Yes.
You know, so the herbs, even though you deal with from plants to planet, what do you think the plant is? A planet they be. The plant are reflecting the planetary energy.
Planet.
Not just reflecting like a mirror, because they are the mirror energy of the planet.
There you go.
Yes, sir. So when you eat in a plant, you eat in a certain planet, because the scripture says what? What the scripture says? There's not even a blade of grass that don't have a planetary influence.
Wow.
Listen to that. There's not even a blade of grass that is not influenced by the heavens. Yeah. So everything is everything.
There you go.
That's why we need to get into the real stuff. You know, be a mystic man or woman. Get into it natural. Don't get into that synthetic, because it's going to make you sinful. It makes you sin against yourself. It makes you come short of the laws of creation. Respect.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all of this, man. It's just flowing here now. Yeah, that's great, great, great. Yes, my gosh, I feel I wanted to play this other tune to complement what we just heard, but we can't do that. Well, we can, but I may take a shot later near the end. But wow, Clyde, hang on a minute. Hang on a second. Who's the caller? Who is who? Excuse me. Okay, we have who's there? Maybe it's not for us.
Yes, if anybody want to call in, are we taking in calls?
Yeah, if anybody wanted to call in, feel free to call in.
Ask a question or make a statement or just share some information as well. We're here to learn as well as to teach. To teach is to learn, and to learn is to teach. Is one and the same. Is a part of the flow. The river goes both ways, by the way.
Yeah, and one end can't clap. You understand?
Downstream.
Yeah, one end can't clap, man. So one end wash the other. So there it is. It's about wholeness and thinking in a holistic context. I'm trying to open this thing here, but it doesn't look like. But look, if anybody wants to call in, because we're coming close to the end, but if anybody wants to call in, the studio number is 079 444 31366.
That's 079 444 31366.
That's right. And if you feel too shy to call in, then just send a text. Send a message. Ask what kind of question you want to kind of put forward, or put the question you want to get put forward, and we'll see what we can do. But you're going to have to hurry up, though. You understand? Because we're coming to, the last few minutes, 10 minutes or so. So I think we're just going to what we're going to just round things up, because there's a lot we've gone through, and
don't forget the ping.
The ping. Hang on. What I was gonna say is something I was gonna turn around and say, just slipping up. Hi. All right, the ping. Come to
somebody sent me a message that Mr. Ping is missing, and he's not playing ping pong. The same went underground.
Yeah,
that's Xu Jinping. So he's ping out. We don't know what's happening, but somebody sent me a message, a video message. I sent it to you actually. They say Xu Jinping is missing. So that's a cause for concern that the number one in China is missing or gone underground or nowhere to be found. He's ping out. So that's something we need to look into, because then it also says how deep the river goes, or how deep the rabbit hole gone if the king of the forest is nowhere to be found. So it's there on your video link. I just see a message, and I just want to because I would have forgot to ask the question. A listener has hi Tina, you cool? Yeah. Her question is, where can we get the authentic cancer bush? And I think you've already given the answer to the next question. And where can get the African ginseng? So basically, the question is, where can we get the authentic cancer bush from, and the African ginseng? But if you're listening carefully, the ginseng lockdown, the African ginseng lockdown, and because I've been actually, I did have a couple of years ago. I had the ginseng, and I started buying it in bulk, and it's like they just shut it down. That's why Galactic gets his hand on it. They shut it down because some women was telling me that this stuff is powerful, and it is powerful. And but they got it under lockdown. I'll have to actually travel to get it. So that's a bit of an issue. I'm trying to find ways to get around it. I do have the other ginseng. The cancer bush, I do have good contact with the cancer bush, so you can contact me for the cancer bush.
Okay.
Or there's another contact which is King Lion is also another contact.
King Lion, I haven't heard
one of the one being pushing the cancer bush.
Yeah.
But I'm also pushing the cancer bush too, because I'm also a cancer bush man as well.
All right.
You know what I mean?
But it's good that you mentioned King Lion. I haven't heard from him for a long time. If King Lion, if you're tuning in, brother, yes, big up to you, and
big up to King Lion.
Big up to King Lion.
Yeah. Let the lion roar, man. You're lion up a roar, because we can't take the system no more. Lion up a roar, man.
Oh, so if to get the where to get the authentic cancer bush through you, yeah?
Yeah, it's only authentic cancer bush out there. There's nothing else.
Nothing else out there but authentic.
Yeah. Unless you're gonna go to what they call it. Let me not mention anybody's name. Pull down and draw up and all kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's only authentic cancer bush.
Would you like to leave your details, Clyde, for any of the listeners interested to be able to contact you if you are okay with them contacting you directly?
Oh yeah, of course. My number is online. Yes, it's 07961 476 356.
All right. You take that pen and you put it to the paper. Say it again, bro.
07961 476 356.
Okay.
Did I say right? 07961
I haven't memorized it, bro. I haven't memorized it.
476 356. Yeah, I'm right there.
All right.
Of course, it's my number.
Yeah, exactly. I memorized mine.
I do
I don't remember. Okay, so there you have it. So feel free there to I hope that answered your question there about the African ginseng. That's going to be a harder one to find, but not impossible. Okay. Yeah. So we're coming to the rounding up of the show, and there's been so much. So what we're going to do is really just recapitulate. We're just going to just tie everything up together. Mm-hmm. So the show this evening was about collective consciousness and its influence on us, and the updates on the coronavirus, and how the information that is being spread out there, or the propaganda to do with this epidemic, how this correlates to the collective thought fields, and how we get impacted upon these collective thought fields, and then thoughts begin to think you. So when you have these fear-based thoughts, you have to release them. You have to not be giving power and energy to them, because you're buying into, you're believing more into what's not, okay? More in the illusion than reality, which you are the reality. Like, Clyde, we already said that, look, when you're dealing with artificial food, and food is also vibration, and how you cook your food and the energy that you put in it is the type of thoughts, yeah, what you're going to be consuming. So what I'm saying is that there's so much unnatural things, so much synthetic things, so much artificial things that is playing and trying to mimic itself as natural. And if you take these unnatural things, you're going to become a synthetic unnatural one. You see? It's not going to strengthen you. It's not going to strengthen your immune system. These things make you compromised. All right? So we want to get back to the naturalness, the naturality of our own liberty. And the ultimate thing that you need to tune into is the source within yourself. You have to start to step into transcendental values, transcendental thoughts, transcendental if I'm going to even say about beliefs, but the point being is that we're here to transcend this mind here, transcend and step into acknowledgement of the divine essence of ourselves. Okay, so thoughts, you have to understand, you're the one that's supposed to be directing thoughts, not making thoughts direct you. And in this period of time we're in now, there's so much of this. Step out. You know what you want to do is come off the social media. You know what I mean? Give yourself a fast on it. If you have something you want to post, then just make it just that. Just be precise with what you're doing, and then just leave it. You understand? Because social media and all the devices that you have is how there's also spreading a virus in your mind. Yeah? Called fear. You understand? Yeah? So just like you have to protect your computer from malware. You have to protect yourself from all these type of artificial things and different kind of virus them attack. And you want to be focusing more on the crown, your crown of glory. You want to be dealing with your seventh. You want to deal with your direct connection and relationship with Source. So we're dealing from the crown to the ground, but not to fall down and lay down, but to uplift yourself. You see what I'm saying? For you to allow open up your crown chakra star and line up and light up all of those energy centers that is your creative vehicle. Clyde, before we go, what you got to say?
Yes, so we got to talk about the crown that has been returned to Ethiopia, because as we were talking about the crown, yes, there's Ethiopia in the northern part of Africa, so that's a northern crown, and they've the crown that was taken out from Ethiopia back in the 1800s or back then has been returned from the Netherlands or wherever they had it in hijack. So yes, so we're looking at the crown of glory. You see, we start this time the crown. And you see the crown is playing out in many different ways. So the crown has been returned to Ethiopia.
That's brilliant, and that's you got to see these things as signs of significance, because Ethiopia is the oldest Christendom in the world. Okay, you know what I mean? People that chat about Christianity.
Not only Christendom, though, you also missed the dom as
yes,
well.
of course, yes, absolutely. You know what I mean? So that's look. If things are returning back to its rightful owners, okay, that's outside is is metaphorical for what's going on inside, and if you line up your awareness with that, you now tune into the energy, the frequency resonance, and it now correlates with you. And with that, you said there was something else. Oh gosh, it jumped in the head, but my mind. Crown? Yes, it's not just the Northern Crown. There was the King of Ethiopia, which was symbolized as a constellation in the skies. It was Kephas. Okay, so you look, folk, you got all of this stuff, You know what I'm saying? An Ethiopian king.
The wise king.
The wise king. It is a star constellation. Okay? So it's all in the stars. And all the stars are in you. We are the reality that all of this cosmological stories is really talking about. All right? And we just got to wake up to ourselves again. Simple as that. Okay, Clyde. Any last words? Because it is coming to that time.
If anybody knows where Xi Jinping is, let us know here, really, because we want to know what's going on, what's really going on in China in terms of, what we need to hear from the one up there, them up there. But maybe some people don't even care what's going on anyway. They just care about nourishing themselves and just keep out of harm's way and just really, protect the house when the neighbor house is on fire. So, but just for the sake of it, we want to be informed. We don't want to be manipulators as this is happening and we're not sure what's going on. So it'd be good to hear what's going on, really, from some of the people if they're going to tell us the truth, really.
Well, that said, and look, soon as you said about this thing, you see, I have some good listeners, Thank you very much. She just forwarded me just what we're talking, confirmation of Netherlands return, stolen 18th century ceremonial crown back to Ethiopia. Yeah? So there you have it. You have this, it was the Netherlands returned presumably, look how they put it, presumably stolen ceremonial crown, presumably. Yeah. It just fell off the head, and I oh gosh, I lost sight of the thing, and I misplaced it. You know what I mean?
Talk about North Ethiopia, North.
Yeah, northern Ethiopia, and we're dealing with the North crown.
We talk about the crown of the North in the corona.
Synchronicity, so corresponding.
Everything been going on.
So we're on the right track. Yeah. That sign and indication we're on the right track here. So this presumably, they're saying, return of the ceremonial crown from the 18th century to Ethiopia on Thursday spiritual day, Saturn's Jupiter day. The crown was secretly kept hidden in an apartment in Rotterdam for over 20 years. My gosh. Minister Sigrid Keg of Foreign Trade and Development. What are we having here? Sometime feel something. All right. So yeah, that's enough. So there you go. So everything we're saying, we have something taking place in the outer worlds, synchronizing, correlating, corresponding with everything we're saying here. So that is a brilliant sign. So listen, it's reached that time. So as I want to talk about, I was going to say something about the two runners. Good night from him and good night from him. Yeah, but forget that. You just say good night in your own way.
Keep it spinning, you know, keep it spinning, because they got to say the rolling stone gathers no mass, you know.
Yeah.
The still water run deep, but also the water that's not flowing is also contaminated or become contaminated. So keep your body hydrated, keep your energy flow, and keep your spirit high, you know, high as a kite.
Higher than a kite.
Cloud 9 like Sizzler. Have you seen the picture with Sizzler and Cloud 9?
No, I haven't seen
yes,
it.
man.
All
YouTube.
Right. Okay.
Keep your spirit up, man. Don't let nothing get you down.
Yeah, there you go.
Wear your crown.
There you go.
In high spirit.
Well, Clyde, thank you very much for once again being on the show, contributing wonderfully as you do.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, brother. And thank you to the listeners who tuned in again, and also those who contributed with sending messages in for us to ask, and even supporting the information you're picking up, you know, because that shows that you're on point too. You know what's going on. So I very much appreciate and grateful for you all. So my Cosmic Soul brothers and sisters, so we're gonna bid you good shadow hour, another Cosmic Roots show, cosmic reality of one's true self or our true self, and I'll be with you next Tuesday, next strong, on another Cosmic Roots show. So with the outro, we're gonna leave you, and you just groove with that, and I wish you a good shadow hour and restful, magnificent, healthy, uplifting, self-empowering, spiritually charged day and days ahead. All right, y'all.